Hey up, all you petrol-head dirt bike junkies. Welcome to the Man in the Van Motocross Show. My name is Jeff Perrett. This show is brought to you by FXRRacing.com and the guys at Relaxtorace Arm Pump CBD, Arm Pump Oil. Thanks for getting involved, guys. You can follow and get your goods from them if you follow these website addresses down here. As you've probably worked out by now, because of lockdown, we physically can't get guests into the show as we normally do. So we're going to do this next part of the series through the wonders of the internet. So I hope you enjoy the show, what we're doing here at Dirt Hub. It would be great to hear your comments. So that would be cool. Right, that's enough of me waffling on. Let's get some guests on. And hopefully I will see you guys at an event sometime soon. Enjoy. Right, we're back for another Man in the Van. Well, I am, and you can see the beaming smile of Todd Kellett. There he is. I'm sat in the van on my travels. Actually, I'm not at home, so there you go. And Todd, where are you?
It should have been more fitting. I should have got in the van, but I'm actually in Lucy's brother's man cave. Hence all the t-shirts. Yeah.
And where's that? Is that back at home?
We're in Plymouth at the moment. Yeah, Plymouth.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a good place to start. So let's talk personal life. I see. You went down on one knee, or did you not?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was in America. That was a couple of months, 3 months ago now. So yeah, it's quite exciting. Yeah. But got a job done.
Did she have any clue that you were going to do it? Was it a genuine?
I think it was a genuine surprise. She didn't say she had any clues, so yeah, like a job for me.
and well organised. How well did you have it planned? Did you have it down to a T? Did it all go to plan?
Yeah, I mean, I packed the bags, and she didn't find it. I took my gear bag and I put it in my helmet. So I was just like praying she didn't go in the helmet for any reason.
But she's a real, obviously she's a trooper, a real part of your program, and really helps you out. So that must have been a bit of a fear, because I know you probably do your own kit and stuff, but she mucks in, doesn't she?
Yeah, exactly. Like Lucy does everything for me. Just down to me to do the racing. So yeah, I was a bit concerned, obviously, but yeah, I'll pack my bag this week. Yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it.
Can you imagine the embarrassment if you had it all packed away and they check your bags at customs and pulled up saying, what's this?
Yeah, well, it could have happened, obviously, taking me gear there. They would have been like, what's going on? But yeah, it was plain sailing.
Yeah. So what was the reasoning for the move down to Plymouth? Is that where more of Lucy's family are?
I mean, obviously, we're in France for like 6 months at a time, and 6 months we're normally just racing. So we wouldn't really base ourselves anywhere. We sort of just to and fro between everything we've got going on. But obviously, with quarantine and all that stuff, we had to make a decision. And Lucy said, "Oh, we'll just stay in Plymouth. Why not?" And it's been fun for me. It's been really good. I've been doing a lot of mountain biking, and we've got to see just down the road. So it's cool. It's exciting. It's different for me. Obviously, being from Somerset, and it's all like sleepy villages. Nothing going on. And then we got the big city.
Come on. There might not be anything going on in Somerset villages, but there's plenty going on around your house, I can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. But no, it's been a good experience, no problems.
Yeah. So when you go to France, then do you take the boat from Plymouth over, or do you have to travel all the way down to the tunnel?
Yeah, we go to the tunnel because the team is based in Calais, and I've got a small property which the team allow me to use, which is like 20 minutes south of the tunnel. So it always makes sense to just go straight across the tunnel. And there we are. So it's a good position, really, because we're not far from the tunnel, and then we're not far from the team, and then we're not far from Dunkirk. Obviously, it's a nice place to be. It's a small property with near the beach. It's real chilled out. It's good.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to the beginning. Well, the ultimate, really beginning. But I'll just say about at this point, when we started working together, when you rode on the team that I formed, Twisted Seven, I didn't expect you to end up sand racing, but I could tell straight away that like just getting stuck in and that kind of thing, you'd be good at it.
I'm not putting my hand up the air and saying I spotted you or anything like that, because you would have got there anyway. But yeah, you know, but even back then, your, let's say, grit and determination. You know, I remember you did a couple of races that year where it was so muddy and snotty, and a lot of kids, you know, just don't. And you were just like goggles off, just charging.
Always goggles off.
Yeah, yeah.
Take the goggles off when
So let's talk about, you know, the absolute beginning then, because I've seen these little pictures of you as this little cherub angel face. It's still a bit like it now, rosy cheeks, whatever. You didn't stand, you and your brother Ty, let's be honest, did not stand a chance to do anything else other than anything two-wheel. With your mum and dad's history, so let's talk about mum and dad first, and their background.
Yeah, for sure. It's a crazy household. It's always going to be like it. You know, dad was obsessed and mum was just as obsessed, if not more. So yeah, it was going to happen. And the thing was, is Ty was so interested in it that all I ever wanted to do was beat Ty. So it didn't matter whatever we were doing, I was going to beat him. And I must say, it took a hell of a long time to beat him. And I think that's what made me what I am today. You know, it didn't matter if we were going around the garden on push bikes or we were at a race. I just wanted to beat him. You know what I mean? There was nobody else that mattered. So I always had like the perfect, you know, idol to just keep working against. And I think he would say himself that it's sort of somewhat frustrating for him, but at the same time, for me, it was just next level. We were just always working together. We'd be digging in the garden for mini bikes, and he'd say, "Oh, we'll make it a bit bigger." And I'd be like, "No, it's like that's plenty big enough." And he'd make it bigger, and sure enough, I'd still jump it. But he was just there to push me the whole time long, and mum and dad were just fully supported. You know, just whatever you want to do, boys, crack on.
that's the bit. Like I say, you said a sleepy Somerset village. Your garden was not sleepy. You know, like mum and dad didn't care about having a garden. You know,
no,
a few shrubs that managed not to get pulled out to make room for a mini bike track in the garden. Everyone was around. You were out there. You know, well, there's just at your mum and dad's place. There's just bike related stuff everywhere you go. How your dad even works in the shed, I don't know.
Like literally, you go through the house and it's all bike. Oh, there's this, there's that, you know. And then you go in the garage and it's just like, it's like a bike shop. We have to get all the bikes out to start working on a bike. It's a disaster, really. But then the garden, like it hasn't changed. His garden's exactly the same. I went up mum and dad's a couple of weeks ago and we just, we'll drag the mini bikes out and have another go, you know. It's just the norm, really. I can't imagine it being any different.
I can remember going into your dad's garage and looking up and then sort of so basically when you look up at the ceiling, you get an idea of what is the floor space, you know, because it's the equivalent.
Yeah.
I remember looking up the ceiling and then I looked around and seeing about the size of a postage stamp vacant floor area. And that was about it. It's like enough for the door to open and then to stand there, and then the rest is just bikes and bits and kit and carnage.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot better now. Like, Ty hasn't got so many bikes, you know, and he's got his own house, and I obviously don't have so many bikes at the house, so it is a lot better. But yeah, there's still a lot of dead mini bikes and dead exhaust of 2 strokes, or you know, cone valve suspension dead, just chucked in the corner or whatever. Just junk everywhere, and it's all trashed. None of it's any good. It's just all hanging out where we just abused everything. You know, we had mini bikes and we just bend the frame and bend the forks. Literally, Nimmo was constantly just working on bikes, trying to get them going, and we never really had the budget, so we were just botching them up so we could go racing again.
Yeah. Oh, and that's what you guys did, no doubt about it, and still do. What? So, can you remember your earliest memory of getting on a bike? Is you know, maybe if you can't remember it.
Yeah, I wish I could. I mean, I can't really say I do. I think the only thing I can remember is just riding in the garden, really, and doing the odd races. But I think that one of the vivid memories I have is sort of when I was like 6, and I had a 50, and it was just terrible, like dog slow, and the clutch was rubbish, and Dad was like had a guts full, and Ty was riding KX65s at the time, and Ty had 2 bikes, so it was like, oh, Dad was sod it, you're riding a 65. So I was 6 years old, and I just jumped straight on a 65. I did like 3 races on an auto, and I was like, whatever, isn't it? That's it. So we went to a little track near us at Western Zoyland, and I was riding around, and I had no idea what the gears were. I had no idea what the clutch was. So I'm revving the hell out of it in second gear. Yeah! I was like, so this is what it's all about, you know? I think that's the only memory I've really got. And then just went on and on and on, really. And I raced 65 Kawasaki's for 4 years.
Yeah.
I didn't ride anything else. And I was quite a weird one, really. I was one of the only guys to ride Kawasaki in 65. At that time, you know, every man and his dog was on KTM's, and we put like doggy forks in it, and off we went. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, they're a good little bike. They're pretty bulletproof. They need to be to take you on board. But funny you say there about revving it, because obviously when it got to the stage where you joined Twisted Seven and come on the team, by that stage you'd already, to me, was a rider that had worked out a gearbox. You know, you wasn't a revver then. You knew how to ride all the gears and everything. So you must have picked that up pretty quick. Was that because the old man used to beat you? He didn't beat you. I'm only joking. Basically, sort of say, stop. You're going to blow that thing up. Hook up gears, and you learned to ride a bit more taller gears, because that's one of your strengths. There's no doubt about it. You know, using
I think maybe like living at home or living in where we do in the UK in the south, we've always got hard packs. We haven't got any sand, which is kind of a strange one when you think I like sand so much. But you've got to learn to ride a bike right on hard ground, you know, like Via Regis. If you're revving the hell out of it, you're not going anywhere. You're just spinning, you know. So I think and all of the southern motocross riders, we all ride bikes well because we have to learn how to ride them on terrible ground eventually, basically, you know. I think if we lived up the country a bit more, we would have a bit better ground, really. I think that's what it comes down to.
There's a degree of sort of irony about that you've ended up becoming, you know, such a solid sand rider, and yet we live in an area where, you know, we don't really have any sand tracks. I mean, the last real sand track we had was probably Matcham's, you know, and that was, you know, and that wasn't deep.
I probably rode there 3 or 4 times on a 65, you know, and I was probably 7 years old or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's funny when I go to France and they say, "Oh, you've done any riding in the UK?" I said, "Well, no, there's no point." I said, like, I got to go to Fat Cat for 4 hours, and it's not even sand. You know, it's like it's basically hard pack now, and they're like,
"It is,
what?
it's getting like it."
What are you on about? The only places you can ride real sand in the UK is like Port Talbot, and it's so illegal. It's never worth the risk. For me, I just as well go. You know,
unbelievable place, for the level that you're now at. Obviously we don't want anybody illegally riding or anything like that. Great place, but particularly where you're at, you know, with sponsors and stuff like that, you can't afford to.
Too much of a risk. It's a couple of hours drive from me. A couple more hours, I'm at the tunnel. I just as well ride in France, you know. I think there's only one place I've been in the UK which has been really outstanding sand was Tain, but that's like 7-8 hours, you know. It's
nice place to visit.
Unreal.
So, I've never been up there yet, and I've been invited up a few times but never made it, but I have heard it's amazing.
I think if you're gonna go, try and get a plane up because it's a long drive.
I'm getting to an age now where, you know, Todd, I'm getting to that age where I'm interested in just sort of doing mild touring at my own leisurely pace. Before you know it, mate, I'll be taking coach tours soon. No, but I will try and get up there. I am basically getting back into riding, so it would be good to catch up with you one day. I was planning to get riding this year a bit more until some dirty little tow rag stole my 450. So there we go. That's another story. So obviously you started to come through, and it wasn't long really after swinging your leg over a bike and you started racing. What was it? I mean, you raced obviously regionally and done all right.
Yeah, I think the thing
around the time, I suppose, when you started to show form, and I was, when I really studied you a couple of times at Rocket's place. That's when I thought, yeah, if you'll fit the bill for what, you know, for what I wanted to do and try and do that, you know, everything that about what I was trying to put together, somebody that's going to give it, you know, 100% no matter what, and all that, you know, and not be a prima donna, for a better word.
I think
and that worked out okay, you know. And you came onto the team and you rode a KX85, you know, and you put a good year together. You know, some great battles in that 85 class, if I remember right. I mean, some unbelievable ones. The one at what was it? The one at Hawkstone against Scooter Webster, wasn't it? Was that the one?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Epic.
I think the thing for me was, like, mum and dad were taking Ty to the nationals when I was just coming in, and I was like, you might as well go along anyway. You're not going to do any good, but you might as well go along anyway. So, like, I did my first national at BSMA at Mildenhall, and I had to qualify. I was like 6.5, 7 years old. I had to qualify, and I qualified 40th. And Ty, his first national at the same day, he qualified first. And like second was Shipton and God knows what else, and all the way down. So I'm at one end, Ty's at the other end. And then, so I literally just got chucked in at the deep end. You know, it was like, we're going to take Ty, so we'll just bung an entry in for you and see how you get on. And that was that. So then I basically did nationals ever since, and only really by chance, you know. No way would dad have thought, oh, we'll take Todd to a national. He's only 6.5 years old. We'll see if he can qualify. That was back in the days you had to qualify as well, you know. It's impressive, definitely.
Getting chucked in the deep end, that's the Kellett way, I think, pretty much. Oh, that's the impression I've always got from your mum and dad, you know, like they you just get on with it. That's what life is. I could see your old man teaching you how to swim by literally throwing you in the deep end and then going for a cider. He'll be all right. He'll be fine.
No, you're right though. It was I had a lot of fun, and we had a lot of good times racing junior stuff. You know, I think I was second in the 65s Red Bull, and then second in the 85 Red Bull small wheel, and again second or third in the big wheels or whatever. And it was great, you know. And realistically, if we're honest, nothing really counts until you get on a 125 anyway. But it's just good fun. You know, you have to enjoy that time. And when the Red Bulls were so good, you know, Red Bull Pro Nationals was like amazing. And you try and explain it to people now, they just don't understand how good it was. And I think if we're honest, we didn't understand how good it was until it was taken away. You know, it was special time.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, having that name to it, and what Matt did with that series was immense. Yeah, and the tracks, preparation, and just all the media and everything about it was cool. So, what was the time for you, if there was a time, where the thought of it becoming an occupation? When did that take hold, or is it still never really taken hold? You're just going with it.
Yeah, I think you'll be surprised that it actually really probably took toll on me probably like 3 or 4 years ago, or, you know, quite late, really. You know, I wasn't racing with you and Twisted Seven in like when I was 16 years old, thinking, oh, you know, I'm gonna be a professional motocross rider. I was thinking, oh, I just love riding my bike. You know, I'd go to school and then go and ride my bike, and then it sort of went on from there. And when I left school, Mum was like, oh, you've got to get an apprenticeship, or, you know, you got to do something. And I was like, I just want to keep riding my bike, but my mum and dad encouraged me that I needed a trade as such, and the easiest way to do it was me become a barber, and I could work for my mum. So I went to college one day, worked for my mum, and I rode the rest. So I did 1 or 2 years full days, for like 5 days a week in the salon with mum, and I got a good trade. I got level 3 barber, but I just carried on riding my bike. You know, just whenever there was an opportunity. Oh, Wednesday, I'm not coming into work today, mum. I'm going to ride my bike. But I was really proud, you know, at the end to have a trade, you know. So there was always a backup plan as such, you know, when or if racing's finished, we can go and cut hair, or, you know, it doesn't matter.
I mean, that's the way you should do it, 100%. So now you can crack on actually and really apply yourself, knowing that, you know, you can turn your hand to something else. It's the way to do it.
But in answer to your question, going back to like when I thought actually I could make a job out of this, it was just probably like the second year after I won Western. So I won Western the first year, and I was like rubbing my hands together, like Monday morning, I'm definitely getting a phone call. You know, that team is definitely going to want me. And it's like, yeah, nothing happened. So I was like, and then sure enough, the following year, nothing happened. And I was like saying to Dad, you know, I'm not really ready to give up. And I said, I don't really care what I'm doing. If I want to race enduro, if I want to race beach races or anything, I didn't care, as long as I could live the lifestyle. And when I say live the lifestyle, I don't mean like partying and, you know, just pissing it up against a wall. I mean getting up and going training, or getting up and going out on the motocross bike. Really, I just loved that lifestyle. I wasn't ready to go and cut hair as such. So I think I was probably, when I finished with Verdi, or when it was just starting with Verdi, I was like, I just want to carry on doing it. You know, so there was a big talk about maybe going to enduro, and I was quite keen to give it a go, but for one thing or another, it didn't happen. So I was just winging it, really, and that's sort of where we ended up. But then I thought, you know, if I can make enough money to, you know, afford my phone bill and pay my diesel in the van, you know, it wasn't never going to be an occupation that could pay me house or me mortgage. But I was just thinking, I'll just keep going for as long as I can afford to have a couple of toys, you know, have a nice push bike and put diesel in the van. Let's just keep going with it.
I bet when you sort of made that decision, I bet you didn't get too much resistance from Mum. Although, you know, they're so behind you, aren't they? You know, regardless of just because
Dad just said, just get a real job later. Just get a real job later, because once you get a job, that's it. You know, you buy a house and you're there for 40 years. You know, so just get one later. You know, it's no problem.
As regards to supportive parents, I can't think of too many better than your mum and dad. Yeah. So I mean, so obviously the beach racing just sort of it not happened by accident, because you won Western twice. I mean, to win it once is a massive achievement. To win it twice is huge. To win it 3 on the spin is monumental.
I think, like you say, it did sort of happen by chance. I had a lot of really good sponsors and people around me, and I always knew I could do well there. You know, like I've won the 65s, I won the 85s. You know, everything was on plan. And one year I won the 85s, and I did the following in the morning, and then I did the main race in the afternoon on a 125. You know, so I had all the credentials. Really, it was just that final bit. You know, my first good result, Stuart Hodder, one of my good friends and sponsors from the past, he bought me a brand new 450 Kawasaki, and we literally ran it in, bolted all the stuff on, went to the Parc Ferme, and I think everyone thought we were nuts. You know, this is just crazy. You know, people say, I'm not doing Western, it wrecks me bike. So we had a brand new bike, and I come away with 4th that year, and it was really unexpected. And to me, I think it was actually one of my best performances, really. I think I was 17 years old, and that was a good ride, you know. And that's sort of where it started. But then again, I had 2 poor years on Hondas, just for one thing or another. You know, I broke my back in one of the years, and just things, you know. And then again, Stu said, right, I'm going to buy a brand new KTM 350 cross country. And we had no expectations again. We were just thinking, you know, top 5 would be good, top 3 or whatever. And Leok was there that year, and we were like, it's sort of his to lose as such. And I don't think anyone ever expected me to do well. So it was ideal, really. There was no pressure, no expectations. We just went and had a good time. And I think that race again sort of really matured myself. You know, I was first couple of hours, I was battling with Leok, and I said to myself, I don't want to battle with him, you know, let him go. In my head, somewhat big-headed, I thought he ain't never going to finish anyway. He'll burn the clutch out. And then I got to the last hour, and I was like, if you really want to win this, like you really want it deep down. I remember it clear as day thinking, if you want to have a go, you got to get on with it. And it wasn't until the last hour I just pushed and pushed and pushed. And sure enough, we got away with it.
What year was that? Remind me. So what was that?
2016. 16, that was.
16. Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then The following year was a completely different story. I had another hole shot. So I had 3 wins and 3 hole shots. So the following year I had a hole shot, and I was there with Johnny Walker and that, and he was like, everyone was baiting me up all week, you know, oh yeah, Johnny can beat you, this can happen, that can happen. I was like, oh, whatever, you know, whatever. I don't care anyway. So I went off the start line and I just went hell leather for 3 hours. Just literally, there was no question in my mind that I was going to slow down, and I just went flat out for 3 hours. And I think I lapped up to like 4th or something. You know, it was just phenomenal ride. In my mind, I'd sort of already won, and that was a bit big-headed, a bit whatever.
No, not at all. Not one bit. That's confidence for you, isn't it? I mean, when you're feeling good and you know your abilities, and that's not cock. It's not like you were banding that around before you started. You know, in your head you can think it. It only becomes cocky when you start doing that, and then obviously if you don't deliver, then you look a bit of a donut.
And then while we're on the subject, the 3rd year I'd had a terrible season. You know, everything went to the dogs. You know, everything was terrible. I broke my back in December the year before. I just signed for Verdi. It just went Pete Tong, like just you just can't explain it. You know, one thing after another. And I think it got to the stage in around September that I'd basically written off the season. It was just nothing was going to happen. It didn't matter what I was going to do. I wasn't fit enough. I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't comfortable on the bike, whatever. So Lucy said to me, like, what do you want to do? You know, what are we going to do? You know, you're in a very dark place. You're depressed. You know, you need to get a life, basically.
The love of a good woman, Todd. That is telling you how it is.
So I said, oh, I want to win Western. Like, that was the only thing I was living for. Like, you know, I'm going to win Western. So she said, right, let's do it then. So she jacked in her job at that time, and she was a teaching assistant. And we literally went on the road and spent 2 months in Belgium in the SC Sprinter, just riding the sand. And there was a couple of reasons for it. I was doing an EMX 250 at Assen at the end of that year, which would have been my last EMX 250 if the rule changed like it did. And obviously with Western in the back of our mind. So we did 2 months over there in a Sprinter, just the 2 of us and the dog. And we had 2 bikes, and they were just blowing up left, right, and center. I literally learned how to work on a 4-stroke myself. I'd never taken a motor out, and I just like went to Grizzly's workshop. I'll take that motor out and I'll repair it, and then you put it back in. I'm like, okay. And anyway, like it just went on and on and on, and we got to Weston, and I was really nervous, and we had the gold boots and gold helmet. Stupid idea, but it seemed right. You know, sort of got talked into it. And I went off the start line again. I just had never had the feeling like I did the year before. It was never felt good. Nothing felt good, but I just kept pushing on. And I think I led nearly every lap really in the end, because I whole shot again. And then there was a bit of savage course cutting, but we don't need to go into that. But I was leading, and then I passed first and second. I thought, well, nobody's passed me, but whatever. And I managed to get a win again. So it was brilliant. But I think the thing which I learned from it all was the 3rd year, I was waiting on Monday morning, knowing nothing was going to happen. You know, Monday morning, I actually rang Steve from St. Blasey and said, look, I'm out of contract with KTM or with Verdi. I need a bike. Let's go riding. Because it got to the stage that I thought, yeah, I'm fit, I'm strong, I'm feeling good. I want to keep riding. Everyone's like got to Weston, like, oh, let's go to sleep. I'm like, no, So I picked up a 350 Husky off of Steve, which was brilliant. Out of it, it went way above to help me, you know, give me a bike. And we were just riding in Dunkirk, with no plans, no racing happening. We weren't going to get an entry for the 2K. We weren't going to get an entry for Red Bull Knockout. We weren't getting an entry for nothing, but we just kept riding. And then, strangely enough, I managed to get an entry for the Red Bull Knockout. And we were like, oh, we got to do it. So we just went there. Yeah. And we had no idea how big of an event that was. I'd never heard of it. Didn't know anything about it. I was like, wow, it's another beach race. Let's have a go. Got there, and it's like huge, like loads of spectators, massive track, weird format. I was like, this is mental. Anyway, so I went out for the qualifying race, and everyone's like taking it really easy. Everyone's chilling, and I was like going hell for leather like I do. And I managed to get 5th in the qualifying race. Oh, brilliant! Happy with that. And then everyone's going, oh yeah, I took it really easy. I didn't push. I didn't do this, and all. I was like, oh geez, the race isn't going to be quite so good. And it was the strangest thing. I was pit next to Milko Potsek, and the team of Dragon Tech literally stripped his bike to the frame during qualifying and the race in between. And like Nibble and I like put some fuel in it, kicked the tires.
Probably a few zip ties, bit of duct tape.
Lube the chain. Yeah, she's beauty. Like that. And I tapped the bloke on the shoulder from Yamaha. I didn't even know why I did it. I said, like, is everything all right? You know, you got a problem or something? And he said to me, oh, yeah, we're just checking. And he said, you ever want to ride a Yamaha? And I was like, yeah, definitely. And he was like, oh, here's my details. Contact me next week. And I think he almost like was just being polite, saying, you ever want to ride a Yamaha? And then I was like, jumped at it. He's like, oh, Jesus, why did I say that? Anyway, so on the way, well, there's another funny story. But anyway, I rang Steve from St. Blaise, said, I need a 450 Yam now. Bearing in mind that a couple of weeks before, I'd just taken out a brand new Husky. And he was like, yeah, no problem. Come down next week. So again, like, unbelievable. What a guy, you know. Here's a Husky, which I've just destroyed the knockout on. Have another brand new 450 Yam. I was like, anyway, so that was phenomenal. But going back to the knockout, on the Friday, Lucy piped up and said, oh, it's Skegness on Sunday. And I said, oh, it's £1,000 prize money there. I was like, I could win that. So I said, Dad, can you drive all the way from the Hague in the Red Bull Knockout to Skegness for Sunday morning? Because it was a Saturday race at the Knockout. And he goes, yeah, I reckon. Why not? So we literally finished the race at the Red Bull Knockout. I managed to finish 5th again. I just had a hell of a ride, loving life. And got there. I was like, I gotta go. And they wouldn't let me have the bike for like an hour. You had to leave it in the park for him. I was like, no, I gotta go. So anyway, I managed to get the bike, and Dad just drove all night, literally all night straight. And we rocked up in the morning at Skegness, and I was just like half asleep, and I felt wrecked because the Red Bull Knockout was 1 hour and then 2 hours, and I could totally underestimated how destroyed I was. Woke up in the morning, fettled a bit on the bike again, kicked the tires, filled up with the gas, good to go. I did like 2 laps at the Skegness. I thought, I'm never going to finish. Like, I am dead. Anyway, kept on cracking on. Hour and a half, clutch is finished, completely finished. So I'm like stalling it all the time. I had a little gap, finished the line, won the race, collapsed, went down the road, found a massive Indian, scoffed the face, and then drove all the way home. Got back at like 3 a.m.
Apart from the incredibly hard work and dedication to keep going in the fitness, it sounds like a great weekend, particularly the curry. Yeah, that's the well-earned curry. That is that was earned.
I think it was one of the best curries I've ever had, if I'm honest. I couldn't tell you where it was.
Yeah, I bet. I bet Dad was hanging as well, wasn't he? By the time he got back, mind you, I bet he sunk a few ciders the next day after that weekend.
For sure, yeah. So it was really good. I took like €1,000 prize money from the Red Bull Knockout, and then £1,000 from Skegness. And I thought, oh, hang about, I could make a few quid here.
And the best curry of your life.
Yeah, yeah. So then. Monday morning, I ring the French bloke and say, oh, hello, it's Todd here. Like, you spoke to me at the Red Bull. Oh, yeah, how's it going? I said, I'm coming across tomorrow, Tuesday. I'm coming across. Yeah, no problem. So I went over, and we went out and tested the bike. And then that's literally where we are now, you know?
Now.
It's mental. Like, so yeah, I'm so thankful to so many people, you know? Obviously, like, Mum and Dad and my brother, and then like Stuart Hodder for buying the bikes at that time of Western, and then Steve helping me out, and then the guys from Yamaha in France were just like, they went out on such a whim. You know, nobody ever heard of Todd Kellett, and I don't think they paid too much attention to Western, but they saw me at the Red Bull Knockout and thought, well, hang about, that's not bad. And they had seen me at Dunkirk occasionally and thought, well, like, who is this kid? Because obviously I was there all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a risk for them to say, oh yeah, we'll just have this English kid. You know, no different to you when you took me over off of the Kawasaki's. So like, I was on 85. You know, I remember Ross Burridge saying to you, "What about the fat kid on the end?" You know,
harsh.
Yeah, but it's like so thankful to so many people to go out on a whim and support me. You know, it's been amazing.
Yeah, you say that. You know, clearly you got to be incredibly talented to do what you've got to do. But I think talent gets you so far, and then, you know, hard work and dedication obviously is the final piece. And I don't think anybody would look at your career or how you run and you know, go, well, he's not trying. You know, it stands out a mile. You know, but basically because of the family, the way you chip in as a family, you know, you just get on and going with it. And you know, I think that was highlighted. You know, obviously, so many people we know your family's relationship with Western. Yeah, I'm not going to go over the covered ground with that and dig up too many raw emotions. But when the first win, I mean, that as a family collective, that must have been something special.
It gives me goosebumps, you know. It gives me goosebumps. It's like, it was sort of like taking down the big giant, you know. It was sort of like, no, I have that, you know, have that one back in the face, you know. To a degree, it sounds a bit weird, but it was like, you give one of us, but I got you back as such, you know. You can't really explain it, you know. It was just a surreal sensation. And then, you know, it's been really good to me, Western. It's been really, really good to me. I mean, it's been such a buzz racing there. But for me now, it's a big shame that I can't race there because of the dates. And I can't race this year if Western date stands. I watched your interview yesterday. It is a shame for me, but at the same time, my sort of driven has switched. You know, I wanted to win Western bad, and now I want to win the 2K really bad. You know,
now wouldn't that be something?
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously, Nathan's the only Brit at the moment, so that's what we're trying for. You know, that's what we're pushing for. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And it's really strange, you know, if we go full circle on the whole thing. You know, when I was racing MX2 British Championship, the whole goal was to win or to race in the MX2 GP class. You know, there's no point me sitting here saying I didn't want to race MX2 GPs or MXGP. I'd be lying, man. You know, when I was racing EMX 250 or MX2 British Championship, in the back of your mind, you want to be a GP rider. Sadly for me, one thing or another, it just didn't materialize. And I don't really regret anything I did. It was just one of those things. But for me now, that's sort of gone as such. You know, I could enter a GP if I wanted just for fun, but I'm never going to race competitively for a living. But it's sort of switched, you know. Now I'm thinking, okay, that's sort of gone. I want to win the 2K. And the thing for me, one of the main reasons I want to win the 2K is it just opens so many more doors. You know, if you win a British Championship motocross, well, I don't have a pat on the back. But if you win a beach race like the 2K, you can go back to motocross, you can go to enduro, or for me, my long-term goal would be to go to rally. You know, and
I was literally just going to ask that because I had a feeling you were edging towards that, and that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is I can't sit here saying I want to do Dakar because I haven't tested yet. Until I have a test, I might do one ride and go, nah, that is not for me. It's too scary. It's this, it's that. But for me, I just want to have the opportunity to test, and then we can see. You know. Yeah.
Bloody hell. I hope you got a better sense of direction. Nah, Nibs is all right. He finds his way around, doesn't he? You know, imagine him following you up in the support truck. Bloody hell.
Yeah, that's something to think about. I think that is obviously the biggest concern. I've done a little bit of looking at it, and it's very, very French. You know, obviously it was ran by the French Federation, so the road book is very French. Obviously, if you can try and get your head around that, that's a start.
I suffered with languages at school. I can't even speak English proper, let alone well, there you go, properly.
But no, it's just it's a good experience. It's everything happens for a reason at the end of the day, and you know where we're at now is we're going to head to France sooner rather than later, and try and crack on with the beach races and get prepared as we can.
So how's that working for you? You know, obviously it's like you said, it's now your job. You're riding for a French team, it's all good. Are you initially, was it difficult with the language barrier?
It's a really strange thing. It's like, for me, I want to learn the French, obviously, but for them, they love to show off that they can speak English, and they like to learn English, you know? So like the team manager always has a joke with me about the English and the French, but at the end of the day, he really enjoys speaking English. It's to sort of show off. And I think if we're honest, a lot of people have a wrong impression of the French people. You know, sometimes French can come across a little bit arrogant or whatever. But I think it's almost, if they don't know you or they don't know how you're going to react to how it all goes on. You know, for me, I have the best relationship with them. They're brilliant people, and they help me out so much, you know. It is great, and especially with Milko, is the team manager now. Oh, sorry, teammate now. He speaks brilliant English, obviously, and we just have the best fun speaking the languages. I try and speak French, and they just crease up. Like, it's so embarrassing, but you know, it's a really funny thing. And when I moved over, or when I first went, it sort of all happened by accident. So I did the knockout, and then we went over for the test, and then I didn't come back until Christmas. So I literally went for a test, and then I was like, okay, well, when's the next race? When's the French Championship race going to be? And it was, next month. So I was like, I'll just stay. And they give me a property over there then, and that's where I've been ever since. That first year, the team manager paid for everything out of his own back, because they already had a team, which is Milko and Damon Martins. And then at the end of the season, I was pushing on and getting good results and having a good time. And then the team manager said, oh, we want to make you on the official team. So then it would just become me and Milko like last year, which was, again, a crazy opportunity. And I think like last year, the team wasn't really expecting too much from me. You know, it was always Milko's the number one as such, and Todd will just progress if and when. And as they suggested, that's sort of how I did it for the first few rounds. And then sadly, Milko got injured, and I sort of felt like I had two choices. I thought, I'd just sort of shy away from it, or I like put my big boy pants on and try and step in as such. And that's what I tried to do, and it worked out great, really, for me. We then became like two number one riders. It was no preference on either person, and we had some great results throughout the year. Sadly for me, the 2K wasn't phenomenal, but that's another story.
Well, you had some good TV time.
On the floor.
So I remember. I can remember seeing at least one of your crashes where you.
I think if I go into it realistically, the thing is the pressure was on Nathan. Obviously, he was the past winner, and for me, I'd just come off a win at Hosgore, and I'd had a second to Nathan at Graham. We were the favourites, you know, and it was a lot of things which I'd never really experienced before. You know, TV interviews, you know, Le Favourite all the time, and I must admit, it got to me. I'm not going to lie. And at the other side of the story is Milko's there. He's injured his hand. He had a couple of average rides, but nobody expected him to win. On that morning, if you'd have said Milko was going to win, nobody would have believed you. It was always me, Van Horbeek, or Watson. And sure enough, slowly but surely, he was just cracking on. And I took the lead in the first lap. And I thought, again, you know, sort of like a Western thing, I'm just going to ride it out for as long as I can. And I got hit by a back marker and broke the front brake lever, and it just went Pete Tong as such. But that's learning, you know. I've got so much experience from Western, from when I was on 65s to now, that I've only ever done 2 Latuques, and these guys have been doing them on their 125s and that. They know it like the back of their hand. I'm 23 and Milko's 28, 29. So it's a long time to catch up.
Oh yeah, and I know you won't quit on it. That's for sure.
No,
that's the thing. Like even like, let's just hypothetically, and obviously I'm not wishing this to happen at all, but like, even if you kind of lost your ride with what you're doing there, because you've done it so many times before, where you've just gone and got a bike, as you've already explained, and gone and done it. So,
absolutely. Yeah,
definitely. I know you're going to keep pushing to try and win that thing until your body tells you that you can't.
Absolutely, I've learned so much, and I feel it's achievable. So yeah, there's no reason I'm not gonna stop. Even if I'm very fortunate that I get a property in France and I get facility. The guys work on the bike and that. But even if that were to be taken away, I would sleep in the Sprinter at Dunkirk for 6 months. It wouldn't worry me. Again, it goes back to that. It goes back to the lifestyle. Just being there working. I mean, I learned obviously a lot from yourself, when you were doing GPs and that. It's just such a shame that Dad and I and Lucy and that, we couldn't actually do GPs. But I was only talking to Dad the other day and saying, the problem is now we did European Championship. It doesn't go down as GPs, but the entry fee for that was €300. And we could go to the races and see if we could qualify. We did 3 seasons of it. And sure enough, we qualified for a lot and we had a lot of good results, but it never will go down like it was GPs. When you were doing GPs, you could go along, try and qualify, and then truck on home, either or.
You earned money from it. That was the other thing. So even by getting to the race, you were there. You go. That covered the cost of the trip out more often than not, and a little bit in your back pocket too. So, and that was before getting any money scoring rides in 2 motos. So,
but sadly for us, if we traveled all the way like we did for the European Championship, then we pay like €1,000 to enter, and there's never going to be anything coming back from it. For me, I'd like to look back in the future and say, like, yeah, we did European Championship. It was nothing like GPs, but GPs weren't possible. If I was racing in your era, I'd have loved to have said that I would have been doing GPs as well. Because it was more achievable. It was more achievable for sure. I think it's a shame for a lot of young guys.
I would have loved to have seen you on a 252 stroke. Probably wouldn't have wanted to race against you, but I would have loved to have seen you out there trying to qualify at a 250.
I definitely, if I could go back to any era, it'd definitely be like 80s and 90s, because I just love the 2-stroke. It's so much fun, and proper tracks, proper racing, proper line choice. It really comes down to your line choice and how you get on the power, and everything is it's just so much fun. That was, again, last season we did the 2-stroke thing just to have a blast. I was never under the illusion that after racing the beach races, somebody's going to want me to race a 4-stroke for them in British Championships. So I thought, oh well, we'll just do it on the 2-stroke. It's cheap racing. Again, Steve helped me out, and we just did it on a shoestring and had a blast, really. And it's a real shame that we couldn't do that this season, because I was going to do the British Championship motocross on a 2-stroke in MX2 and the European Championship, and it would have been a really interesting thing to see me do it as such. And with me and Ando, I was really interested to know where a 252-stroke could finish. And like, in my head, I've got a couple of realistic goals, I think, where a 2-stroke could finish, but we don't know. Nobody knows how good a 252-stroke is against a 250F at the moment, really.
No, exactly. That would have been a real shame. I'm just still smiling at the fact just you and Ando. Never mind. Take the other 38 riders out of it. I'd be happy to watch just you and Ando go round. I mean, like, you had that dust up with him at Farley that year. I was racing. They were so good.
The thing is, for me and Ando, it's like, if he has an amazing start, I have a stonker, we're still together. And the reverse. If I have a great start, he has a bad start, we're still together. It's like a magnetic force that draws us together, and it always goes off for sure. I've got a lot of respect for Ando. He's one of my heroes in the past, and
Yeah.
I've never ever imagined racing him, and we've sort of both got enough respect for each other that we're not too dirty, and it's just a great race.
I'm gonna get him on. I've been planning to get him on here anyway for quite a while. So when I do, I get his opinion on racing you when we get him on.
I I think he'd like it, but at the same time, it must be somewhat frustrating. Yeah. It is for me seeing him. He's so much older than me, and the lap times are always the same. It's like, how is he still doing it? If I'm that age and I can still ride a two-stroke like that, I'll be over the moon.
He's an absolute beast. That's why he's an animal. But yeah, that's good. It's a shame that's going to happen, but maybe that'll happen sometime in the future, and I hope it does.
Yeah,
but in the meantime, yeah, it's great that you found by, like you say, it's not by design, but it's worked out good that you're doing something you love. It's a job. You're really making a name for yourself, and and from a British point of view as well, it's great to have a British rider sort of doing well in that, let's be honest, sort of specialist field. It's
nice to see myself and Nathan going in a somewhat direction. Obviously Nathan he did GPs. He was the man in the GPs for the British community. But it is nice to see him doing what I'm doing and people appreciating finally what we're doing. Even like the dates came out this week, and I see a few motocross guys like looking at. I seen Sean Simpson was eyeing it up, and for me it would be amazing to see a few more British guys and motocross guys come over, because it isn't quite as easy as it looks. That's for sure.
Maybe you're trailblazing then. You're gonna be like leading the way for the next lot of British riders turning their attention.
It would be nice. Obviously nobody's raced this year at the moment. So yeah, for sure, there's opportunity for racing in the winter. It would be good to see it, definitely. Yeah, I just can't wait to get back on the bike myself. I haven't actually ridden. The last time I rode was in the US on the GNCC. So for me, I'm just trying to get back on the bike. Hopefully, get out the weekend, depending on the weather. But it's certainly been a long time off the bike.
Yeah. How was the GNCC? How did you find that?
I think, again, like I just said about the beach races, it's not as easy as it looks, and it turns out the GNCC is not as easy as it looks. For being a sand race, I think they kind of over-exaggerated it. It was more of a forest race, with so many routes and horrible stuff. It was brutal. It was really savage. I definitely underestimated it. I underestimated the heat. I underestimated the riders. Those guys are really fast. There's no denying it. And I underestimated learning the process. So for us, we go to a beach race, we know what we're doing, or we go to a British Championship, we know what we're doing, or even GPs. But when you go somewhere completely different, I had no idea. Like the laps were 13 miles, and it took us half an hour to do a lap. So suddenly it was a 5-lap race over 3 hours, and it was like, what?
Yeah.
And the laps obviously go out. It's not 30 minutes every single lap; they go out longer and longer. And I think I struggled to kind of justify that. I did 2 laps and I pit stopped, and I thought, okay. And I did another lap. I thought, I'm halfway. I've done 3 laps. It was a really strange thing, but it was a great opportunity, and it was so nice to be able to go over there. And I'd never been before, and it was nice to go and actually ride, let alone race.
And get engaged.
Yeah, for sure.
As well. Yeah.
It was quite a big deal for sure. But no, we had a great time. I'm so thankful to Yamaha for sorting everything out. What an opportunity, definitely.
Yeah. It's all good stuff, Todd. I'm looking forward to the next chapter of your career. We'll follow it with interest. I'm going to try and get back to the 2K. I say get back because I went there in 1984.
Jeez, yeah, a long time ago.
Exactly. Was you born then?
No, but I reckon my old man would have been riding for sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't like to say if it was a quad or a bike or what it was. Some kind of contraption.
Anything motorized with literally that can be classed as an off-road vehicle. Nibs is on it. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be nice for you to come, and especially to cover a race in.
Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely part of our plans. Yeah, you know, we definitely want to start, you know,
like
covering a lot more of the just dirt biking in general. Yeah.
I think when you say beach race to anybody in the UK motocross, they think of Western. Obviously, that's the first thing they think of. And I was the same when I was younger. You know, it's a huge event, but now it's like the biggest
the ones over there
in the world is
well,
the
Latuke, yeah, exactly. Like when I went to watch, and that was 1984. I think there was 250,000 people there in 1984, and it's probably grown more since then.
Well, it's a very, very different race. You know, you can't actually take Western and Latuke and put them to any comparisons. The only comparison to me is they're on a beach. They're so far apart, it's ridiculous. Now Western is like a real mud race, you know, you get a lot of bogs, it's very slow, it's very enduro. You can take a good enduro rider to Western and he'll do well. You can take a very good motocross rider to Latuke and he could win it. You know, they're so far apart. It's very hard for the English to understand what it's like, because the average speed around Western, I wouldn't know, probably 15, 20 mile an hour, where at Latuke you're probably averaging sort of 35 mile an hour. You know, it's really totally different race, which is it's strange, because all of my success has been at Western, for me to go over and learn a whole new shebang.
Well, I tell you what, if I'll make a promise to you now. Well, promise to myself actually. If it doesn't clash with anything, or I'm not somewhere else at that time of year, which I might be, I'll come over to that. Not only that, I can do a bit of a Del Boy type wine and beer run. One thing in lockdown I've noticed, and people watching these Man in the Vans, everything else to do, they're probably thinking, "God, he's got a drink problem." I don't. It's just whenever I seem to do these, it's either a Friday or Saturday, and it's the weekend, because I have a few at the weekend, and that's it. So I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to come over. I've got a spare bed, and it'd be great for you to come over like the week before if you could, because nearly every top rider is riding Dunkirk, and they're all the media as such, you know. So
we'll make a plan with that then. That's a deal. Right, we'll discuss that off air another time. Right, Todd, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. I'm absolutely made up for you, made up for the family. Say hello to your dad and mum for me, and of course Ty as well. Keep on trooping like you Kelletts do. Hopefully I'll see you soon, mate. Yeah, thanks for the time for doing this.
No worries. Thank you very much.
On a Friday night. You should still, it's just coming up to 8 o'clock on a Friday night, so you still should be able to get some primetime TV in.
They're going down the club for me.
All right, mate, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Nice one.
Thank you.
All the best, Todd. Good luck, mate. Right, that's Toddy. He's out of it. I'm going to end that right there. See you, Todd. Till next time. Series 2, episode 10. I don't know who we're going to get next. Well, I might get Ando in after I said that or whatever, but I'll try and fit another one in when I can. That was obviously Todd. Always a pleasure talking to Todd. He's a real trooper, as you've probably worked out. Right, thanks for watching, everybody. Keep enjoying what we're doing at Dirt Hub, and following us on our Facebook page, and of course on actual Dirt Hub website, etc., Instagram, all that. And I'll see you soon. Right, I'm absolutely starving now, so I'm going to go and get a late supper, tea, dinner, whatever you call it. Till then, take care, everybody. Keep on rocking in the free world. At least I like to believe it still is.